Hey guys, American Horror Story Apocalypse comes out on Blu-ray and DVD today in Australia, so I've partnered with 20th Century Fox to bring you this Michael Langdon look. The original makeup for the scary look where he's like, blah, was done on Cody Fern by the makeup artist Mike McCash, who designed and applied the makeup. Mike took inspiration from the demon makeup in The Exorcist, classic movie, iconic makeup. And when he applied it on set, he used a couple of prosthetic pieces. So he had brow covers, he had cheek pieces which went up underneath the eye and over the cheeks, and he had some jaw pieces. And then he used thin baldy sheets, aka cat plastic, over the rest of the skin to create a nice kind of crinkled ripple effect to give it a little bit of texture. And then the rest of his look is paint and black Scleral lenses. The actor Cody Fern was also wearing a wig for his look. My hair is pretty similar to the wig he was wearing, so I'm just rocking my natural do for this tutorial. For this tutorial, I'm going to keep it simple. I've blocked out my brows and the rest of it is just paint. So I'm going to pin back my hair. Let's grab out a mirror just to keep this out of my face. And I've already got my Scleral contact lenses in because I know that if I do intricate eye detailing and then I try and like open my eyes to shove a giant contact lens in, I'm going to be ruining that makeup. So I put it in first and put in lots of eye drops. This is where having comfortable, well-fitting contact lenses is key because you can put it in first, be comfortable for the hour or so application, and then you don't have to worry about trying to shove it in after you've already done your makeup. I'm going to start by blocking out my brows. So you can do this in a variety of ways depending on what you have and what you prefer. A lot of people use glue sticks. Sometimes people use cat plastic or like prosthetic brow covers. I'm going to use Prosaide Adhesive for mine. I found that using Super Solve Remover after Prosaiding down my brows has actually worked pretty effectively. But you just do want to make sure that you have that proper remover. I'm going to start by doing like a thin layer over my brows and trying to kind of get them flat against my skin as that glue dries. Usually start at the tail end. So Prosaide's an acrylic-based adhesive, so you might find that you get like a little bit of acrylic residue left over afterwards doing this. And what that looks like is just like a little patch where fuzz sticks to you and you're like, oh, I didn't get all that, because it dries clear, so it's kind of hard to tell if you have anything like left over. I'm gonna get a little bit of transparent powder in a cotton, I'm gonna get the transparent powder in this powder puff. And this one's pretty much dry now, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use this to powder, probably best if I close my eyes, to powder my brows, take away the stickiness, but also to get this flatter against my skin. So you can kind of use this to put a little bit of pressure just to really flatten out that glue. Do this on the other side as well. I'm going to do a second layer of Prosaide adhesive just to try and get it a little bit smoother looking. This one is almost dry. You'll know when it's fully dry because it dries completely clear. And if it's taking its time, you can kind of thin the glue down with a clean cotton tip. Let's get my reference image from the TV show. And an eyes closed reference as well. Okay, powder round number 2. And again, using pressure just to push that brow flat against the face. Now that our brows are on fleek, hello 2016, Jeffree Star now, I don't know what's happening. No eyebrows as well, all links in. Okay, so I'm gonna mix up some pale foundations. So I've got like a NYX one, Too Faced, and then also this like Australis lightning drops thing. Just to make a pale foundation, you can use face paints if that's what you're comfortable with. You can use cream paints, you can use alcohol paints if you want it to last longer. But some foundations I'm gonna try for this one, so we'll see what happens. And we'll put a little bit of powder over my whole face as well. Okay, we'll see if the brows need concealing a little bit more later, but for now I'm going to do the detailing and just see if it might kind of disguise it enough to look how we want it. This is kind of a look already. Let's keep going with detail. So I'm going to work with some cream paints around the eyes, and I've got my Ben Nye Ultimate Character Effects palette, which has a bunch of different cream colors, and I just broke it. So I'm gonna kind of like make a little custom mix of some of these reds. And I'm gonna follow my eye bag downwards. I'm gonna kind of drag this out into like angry, like these lines. So you can kind of find your own and drag it out if that's easier. Up through the brow here as well. This outer corner. I'm just kind of like just looking at my reference image and just trying to copy the line work. And then his brow gets kind of heavy. And the red does seem to kind of go over the back of the eye and up, and then it's kind of obfuscated. What's the word? You can't see it with the brow cover coming down. You catch my drift. Let's start with this red base, and we're going to add in purples as well. It's like me after crying with a colourful makeup look on. Okay, let's move on to the second eye, and we'll try and copy that. Symmetry isn't as important for like scary ghost demon looks, but try and get it ish the same. Just gonna bring these down. So there's a little bit coming down the nose. There's like these smile lines. There's some kind of around here. What I might do is do like a little bit of contouring with feeling something kind of like gray-brown. Maybe even the cream paint's gonna mix some of the brown with the white and the black to make like a cream contour, just to try and get some shapes that are being put in by the prosthetics, but we're not gonna use prosthetics for this one just to keep it simpler. So I'm gonna kind of mimic the shapes with a little bit of cream contouring. So I'm gonna mix together a little custom color now. Let's see how this looks for like a little chin. Now you can give these heavy cheeks. Can make under the eyebrows look heavier. And then there's this really dark kind of like crease here. And I kind of want to create the illusion of the brow coming up. It's already a little bit lighter, so it's going to do that. We're just going to try and make this outside edge a little bit darker, and then we're going to blend this out so it looks a bit more natural than it does right now. And then we'll pull in some forehead, contouring here as well. And a little bit around the mouth. And let's add this also just into some of the deeper areas of this part. We'll add other colors to deepen it as well, but just so it looks a little bit cohesive. All right, getting somewhere. Get like a little kind of fluffier brush to start blending this in, but I'm keeping it small just to keep it nice and controlled. I'm gonna soften a lot of this, and if I want any harsh lines, I'll come back in and I'll do it later towards the end. It's looking a bit softer. I could also soften this further just using that foundation brush again. I'm going to get into like a finer detail brush. Let's go for this little guy. I'm going to start with some of the purples around the eyes, and I'm going to mix a couple of these colors together. Get a slightly larger brush just to really kind of deepen in this inner corner here. I'm just going to kind of be a little bit messy with this because I know I'm going to blend it and then do more detailing afterwards. So go back to this little fluffy brush and just any areas that need a little bit of blending. Okay, I'm feeling my desire to get back in with alcohol paints now, just because you can get really like controlled detail that is waterproof of that. I'm going to use the purple from the Necromania. It's called Lividity. There's also a purple in the Complexion palette called Capillary, and some nice reds in here as well. So I'll start with those two palettes and see how I go. Just double check all of this is nicely blended. Working with alcohol paints around the eyes, just be careful and just have a very small amount in the brush so it's not dripping, and then it evaporates pretty quickly so you can get your detail in and just have the person close their eyes. So let's start with, I'm going to start with the more purple and then add the red on top. Get some of the Lividity, and I'm just going to really work my brush in there just to get quite a pigmented color. Just going to kind of go over some of the colors we've already got down. I keep it pretty transparent for these guys, running down down the cheeks. If I put down too much color with alcohol paint, you can just kind of pat them to soften it. But the good thing about alcohol paints is you can control how transparent or how opaque you want it to be. So if right here I want it to be a little bit more opaque, then these ones I want it to be a little bit more transparent. I just add a little bit more alcohol and you can really kind of thin them out. They act pretty similarly to watercolor paints. Add in some of the forehead details now using a light purple, and then we'll go in with the red. We'll go in with the red in a minute. Going over the mouth and smile lines. I haven't done much with the mouth itself. Just going into a little bit now. So you can put alcohol paints over the mouth, but it just will feel a little bit uncomfortable. So I'm going to do a cream base for the color, and then I'm going to do the alcohol paints for the detail. A little stiff brush to get the cream paints on there. It's a little bit pale in the center, so we'll start with a little bit of white, and then it gets like a dark toned purpley color on the edge. All right, so we got the base down with the cream colors, and then I'm going to go back in with alcohol paints just to add a little bit of detail around the edge, kind of where it meets the skin. I'm actually going to go for a red from the effects palette. I'm kind of digging just the pure red, so I'm going to do that. If you have any areas that you want to just sharpen up or change, you can get a little bit of alcohol on a cotton tip or on a brush, and then you can just clean things up that way. If you need to put down any more foundation, you can just get back over the top. I'm gonna deepen these guys. I might add like kind of a purple and red combo just to get like a little bit of a darker color in there. You kind of keep your hands pretty loose because it's a pretty sketchy looking makeup. Not sketchy as in like, well, I mean, it is kind of sketchy looking, but kind of like it's sketched in. So keep your brush kind of dancing on the skin. Keep back in with the reds, just to put some more precise lines, but with red in this area. Yep, got paint a little bit too close for my eyeball. I'm going to get like a little bit more of a watery transparent red just to do some of the softer kind of details around. Like these pull downs especially, like down here. Just going to clean this line up a little bit with that foundation brush. I will go in and soften these a little bit as well. The sides of his hair are kind of covered. Sides of his head are kind of covered, sorry, by hair. We'll just bring like a little bit of kind of soft details around the areas that aren't really in frame. And then I do want to soften some of these areas a tiny bit. Just got this little baby softening brush. So I'm just gonna get some alcohol on here and keep it pretty clean. And any areas that I want to soften, I'll just kind of gently touch and blend. It's kind of like a blending brush for eyeshadow, really. And again, just be careful if you're near eyes, because it is alcohol, and that ain't fun. So basically I'm just picking areas that look a little bit too painted on, and just trying to soften them so they look a little bit more part of the overall like aesthetic. Getting pretty close. I would like to just add a little bit more depth in this inner corner here. So I'm gonna go over to the cream paints again. I'm gonna use the same little brush because it's got a nice little concentrated pointed end. Just gonna mix actually some of the purples and reds together just to get like a dark kind of mauvey color. I'm gonna do this like right in this inner corner here. I'm gonna pop that cream on my top eyelid as well. And like right up underneath that brow bone just to try and make it look a little bit sunken. And then again, like back in here. Same thing on this side. I'm leaving it a bit patchy intentionally, just because it kind of fits with the whole look. Soften this edge. This is just a clean brush. So I want something like real contrasty, so I put some black in here as well. Now I just want to grab alcohol paints just to finish it off. Instead of Lividity, I'm going to try Capillary. It's a little bit more red, I think. We'll see. And just to sharpen up a couple of the detail areas. I'm going to bring some of these details down into that darker area. Maybe back around the lips. For the brows, I might try and get them a little bit more disguised. I'm going to put a little bit of an alcohol paint on them. And see if that can hide the whiteness of, the darkness of my brows coming through. Just lighten them a little bit. And I can use that paint as well just to make this brow look like heavy here. So that kind of brings the illusion of brows being like boom. Oh, I'll just bring some of this purple back over the top. All right, it's hard to know when to call it when you're in makeup. I feel like this is probably a good spot to call it. All right, so let's get out our hair. Maybe just pull the hair back a tiny bit more. Maybe kind of like this. I kind of want to add just like a little, like in, I'll show you. Just like a little light point. I'm going to use like a light flesh tone. So I'm just going to do like a couple of little like dots in under here. Because I think there's some texture in the prosthetics themselves, which give it this kind of like little dotty appearance. And I'm going to do it flat. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this look, and I will see you soon. That sounds like I'm gonna pop out from underneath your bed. I mean, maybe.